In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 misconceptions that a lot of people get about the Okinawan diet. Hi everyone, my name is Christal Burnette. Welcome to my channel. I live in Okinawa, Japan, not too far from Hacksaw Ridge. I am an Okinawan food and health specialist. In my videos, I always talk about Okinawan longevity. It is my specialty. I went to graduate school here in Okinawa at the University of the Ryukyus. I learned so much about the Okinawan foods and herbs and plants and seaweed and health benefits and all that good stuff. But as I was talking about it on social media, I noticed a bunch of people saying incorrect things about the diet. Why are people saying incorrect things about the diet? It's because they're getting confused with the Japanese diet. Many people think that Okinawans are Japanese, when in actuality, they are not. Okinawans, do you know where they're from? They're from Okinawa. That sounds like a silly statement, but Okinawa used to be its own kingdom, or its own country in a sense. It was the Ryukyu kingdom. So it was the Ryukyu kingdom. It had its own king, it was its own people, it had its own language, they had their own culture. They borrowed and traded with China and Japan, but they were separated from them. It wasn't until the war that Japan and America started fighting over who owns Okinawa. America at some point did, it was technically America here in Okinawa. And then after it handed over to Japan, Okinawans are Okinawan. They are nothing else. They are their own culture, a culture that I hope can be preserved. So, what are the 5 misconceptions that people are getting confused with? Misconception number 1 is that they ate a lot of rice. They did not eat rice. Okinawan's climate is not suitable for growing rice. It is a subtropical island here, which means it is very, very difficult to grow rice, unlike in mainland Japan, where they did grow rice. So what did they eat here as their staple? Purple sweet potato, or a variety of colorful sweet potatoes, like yellow sweet potatoes that range all different shades of yellow or purple. Very healthy sweet potatoes that are full of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and many health benefits. Purple sweet potato is full of calcium, so you don't need to chug a glass of milk. It's full of fiber, it's full of anthocyanins, which you also see in blueberries that give it its blue color, antioxidants, phenolic compounds, just so many health benefits when you're eating a sweet potato. So if I were to pick a carb, I would pick a sweet potato because it would be a little guilt-free. So the purple sweet potato was thought to be introduced around the year 1605 when a very important general went to Fujian, China and brought back a sapling. So it did come from China. Okinawa and China traded very, very often. You'll see a lot of Chinese influence in Okinawan culture. He brought back the sapling, they started growing purple sweet potato along with other sweet potato varieties and found that it grew very, very well. This made it so Okinawan staple was dependent on having these sweet potatoes. You couldn't have white rice, they didn't have wheat, so they didn't have bread. So it was just sweet potato, sweet potato, sweet potato, everywhere. Now you might be wondering, what about white potatoes? I have interviewed many, many Okinawan people and I asked them, why didn't you eat white potatoes? White potatoes just weren't as common as sweet potatoes, and it was also more difficult for them to grow here. They claim that it needed more space, and just Okinawans just weren't as knowledgeable in growing white potatoes as they were sweet potatoes. Rice did not come into the Okinawan diet until around the wartime when, Japan, and if you do know, a huge war did happen here, and that caused a lot of American culture, Japanese culture to become mixed and bring in all that kind of food. Not very good food, if I have to mention that. But rice did come around that time, and that's when rice started being introduced to the diet. So if you do have an Okinawan diet book, a cookbook, and it includes dishes that have white rice in it, that's because of Japanese influence. But the true Okinawan diet does not use white rice. The second misconception that people have about the Okinawan diet is that it uses a lot of soy sauce, which means it has a ton of sodium. This is not true. You were thinking of the Japanese diet probably. Now, the Okinawans did have soy sauce back in the day because soy is a big part of the diet, but not a lot of people could afford soy sauce. So soy sauce was, if it was in the household, it was very small amount, very small container, if they were able to afford it at all. And when they did use soy sauce in the diet, in dishes, they only use very small amounts, maybe just 1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon. A lot of Okinawan diet cookbooks that I've been going through and making the dishes myself, it's only like a tablespoon of soy sauce to add, if you add soy sauce at all. The Japanese diet does use a lot of soy sauce. You dip it in sushi, you add it to tonkatsu or, whatever, the Japanese diet does use a lot of soy sauce, but the true Okinawan diet does not. The third misconception about the Okinawan diet is that they were vegan. They were not vegan. They wanted to eat meat whenever they could. It just wasn't as available. The times that they did have meat was, for example, during festivals, very important festivals like during New Year's or Obon or just cultural festivals where they dance. During those festivals, they did have pork. But again, the Okinawans did not have a lot of money. The economy was not so great, so they could not have pork all the time. Even the richest of people probably did not have access to that much pork. So but it was eaten during festivals, and they were not vegan by any sense. Another one is that some families did have chickens. So they did have chickens in their backyard, and they would eat their pets, kind of consider them pets. They would eat chicken sometime. I've heard stories of little children going to eat frog, or if there was a rabbit somewhere, they would eat a rabbit. So this doesn't sound like the best of meat, but by no means were they vegan. They were trying to survive, and they were eating meat here and there wherever they could find it. This leads to the factor of fish. They also did eat fish sometimes, but this leads to another misconception that people have about the diet. That is misconception number 4. They ate lots of fish. Now, a lot of people think it's very healthy to eat lots of fish, which it is. I'm not saying that it's not. It's very good to eat fish. But the Okinawans actually did not eat a lot of fish. Yes, they're on a subtropical island, but if you think about it, it is very hot here, and so that means that it's very hard to preserve things that spoil very easily. They did not have refrigerators back in the day. So the only people that did eat fish were fishermen, because they were out in the ocean, they'd catch fish and cut it up right there. But the regular common people who were inside the island, it does take, you didn't have cars, so it would take you a while to get to the shore and then start fishing and then hope you catch something, and then once you catch it, you gotta cook it quickly, otherwise it's gonna spoil because it's very hot outside. So my point being is that people did not usually they didn't eat lots of fish, and they didn't usually eat fish every day. Another way to get fish, if they weren't a fisherman, is to trade with fishermen. So if you had close contact with a fisherman, then you could trade. Other than that, fish was not a huge part of the diet. And the 5th misconception that people have about the Okinawan diet is that it was full of bad soy. Now, soy has a very bad rap in today's culture, or whenever you're looking into diets, soy has estrogen, and estrogen is bad for this, and soy is bad for men, and soy... It depends on the way that you manufacture soy. So the Okinawans, soy is a big part of their diet, but in a good way. Okinawans, the only soy that they did consume, besides the little soy sauce that I mentioned earlier, was shima tofu, or island tofu. The soy that they usually consumed was unprocessed, whole, compact soy tofu. This is much better than any of the wrongly manufactured, super processed soy products that you see on the shelves today. Shima tofu, or island tofu, is not made in the same way as mainland tofu is in Japan. Okinawan tofu uses mineral water, or water from the ocean, so it has more vitamins and minerals than your typical tofu. And since it's more compact, it has more protein than your typical tofu as well. So the Okinawans often eat this whole, unprocessed soy tofu, which is very, very good for you. Those are the misconceptions that I see online that just aren't true. So if you're looking into the Okinawan diet, if you're considering it, please learn about these misconceptions and follow the Okinawan diet the right way. Thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions about these misconceptions, contact me on Facebook, my Facebook group, or Twitter, or Instagram, or anything. I would love to discuss it with you. If you have any questions about how you want to lead a Okinawan diet lifestyle, I'd love to talk about that with you, because I practice that a little bit myself while living in Okinawa, Japan, right here near Hacksaw Ridge. Thank you for watching my video. Arigatou gozaimasu, and see you again. Bye!